Hello and welcome to the Not My Job Pod. I am your host, Emily Gant, talking to people who have jobs that are not mine and not in tech. So today I am joined by the wonderful putC, who is a Berlin-based DJ and also a consultant on the day-to-day job. But
Hi.
thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, I'm super excited because, recently, I guess it was last weekend, I got to see, well, I mean, I've seen you play live a number of times, but I woke up quite early to go. And it was the first time that I woke up that early and then actually partied all day. And I would have to say, your set started out like the best day ever. So
That's nice to hear. Thanks. It's always a pleasure. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing it.
definitely. No, the vibes were immaculate. It was totally worth waking up at like 4 a.m. to get there for a 5 a.m. set.
At least it was worth it, so nothing to complain about.
Nice. So you've been DJing for a long time, is that right? Can you tell me a little bit like about it? How long have you been doing this?
I think I started around about 2013, 14-ish. So it's like 11, 12 years. So it's kinda long time. Yeah, it was kind of funny because I was moving to Munich in 2000. I met a friend, your old roommate, Daniel, there while I was studying in Munich. And at the end of the studies, I was sleeping at his place. And then we got to know each other. And then you're also into techno. Oh, yeah, also like techno. And then 2 or 3 months later, I also really moved to Munich completely from Nuremberg because I was living in Nuremberg back then. And then we were partying the first time at an old club. It was a relatively famous club in Munich. It was one of the oldest clubs in Germany. It was called Harry Klein. And this was the first time we were going out together to a techno party, and we really, really enjoyed it. And then it was like, okay, we did it, the first time we did a lot of parties in the first years of Munich, always together, and the whole friendship was growing, growing, and growing. I met most of my friends I have nowadays. I met in this period of time, and yeah, then once I was in the club and I was like thinking about, man, what is the DJ doing there? How is he doing it? And man, I want to do it. I will also be able to do it in the future. And then I met a friend. His name is also Daniel. You know him. He's also called Blau. And then he was living at my place for a short period of time. And then he got a small DJ controller where he was playing with. And I knew that he was a DJ and he played for like several years. And yeah, he really introduced me into the DJ skills at all. And he kept the DJ controller at my place. And then when we were doing some after parties after the clubs, I was always just at the controller. And back in the days, I was using truck, so I was not playing with the CDJs. I was playing with a laptop also. I was always just looking at the screen, trying to figure out how I should do it, that it sounds good. And I have to admit, or I have to be honest, in the beginning, I was really, really bad because people tried to tell me how to, okay, you have to press this cue button now, or you have to press play now. Just listen to the beat and there's 1, 2, 3 and then just play. And in the beginning, I was like, what? I don't get it. When should I press the button? I was really like, and he was, no, 1, 2, 3. And I have to be honest. I was really bad because even as a child, I was not into beat and music at all.
But with okay, because someone like me, I mean, I go to these things, but I don't actually know what you're doing up there. So to me, it's like I look at it. There's like a box. You're moving some things. You're
Yeah,
flicking
some
some things.
faders.
Like, what are you doing? Like, so when you say you were bad at it, like bad at what? Like what is it?
Yeah, if you break it down, as I said, I was using a laptop and you have to compare the old school vinyl style DJing where you really have to be also skillful in beat matching and in adjusting the pitch fader. So you have to match the tempo itself because most of the time every track has a little bit of different tempos. And if they are not completely synced to each other, one track is just running away from the other. And this is what you refer to beat matching. And with vinyl, this is really, really the first struggle you have to overcome because it's tough. You know, you have to get your ears to train that you really listen to the right beats and to the right elements in the track, that you really are able to hear what is right, what is wrong. This is the first step. And then you have the technical side. But as I said, I was starting with a laptop, and everything that I just described, to beat match and to get the pitch faders right, are not there, because you just have the computer that is doing it for you. So even without, or even with all the technical support, I was just not able to press the play button at the right time. This was my struggle, because I can remember in the school I always was, when I was in the music lesson with my teacher, and they was just like, okay, now we do this kind of beat, and we clap to this kind of beat. I was always in the all my classmates, and they were clapping to the beat, and I was like, what are they doing? I was just not trained enough for that, because back in the days when I was really young, I was sitting way too much in front of my Game Boy, my computer, and everything. So I really never learned something like that, and I was not pushed into this direction from friends, family, and so on. So it was just about I couldn't feel the beat itself. Nowadays it's completely gone. I can feel every beat, and I can listen to everything. I'm also producing music and everything. But this was also maybe one thing I really was looking for, to train myself that skill, because I felt that I was lacking something like this when I was going out, partying, dancing, and everything. Maybe subconscious, I always thought that there is something I have to teach myself. In retrospective, I don't know. Maybe it's also one of the reasons why I really love to start DJing or make the music.
If it makes you feel better, when I was in grade school, we had like these bells that you had to ring,
Yeah.
and everyone would have two bells. But I was so musically uninclined that the music teacher took one of my bells. So I only had one. I was the only kid in the class who had
Could
one
be me.
bell. It was so pathetic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Could also be me.
But even now, like, I'm not the most rhythmic person ever, but yeah, I feel like it is. Well, I feel like it's something that you can practice and get better at. Do you think that that's true?
Everything is possible at some. Yeah, no, you will not be, or would not be, the best in class or best of the world. But if you really struggle with something, and you practice every day, and you try to learn it, you can improve with everything. There's nothing, or at least in my perspective, there's nothing in life, and I'm certain about that. There's nothing in life that you cannot learn to a certain point, at least. If you're bad in calculating or doing math, if you're bad at cooking, if you're bad at music, sports, whatever, your body always can adapt, and your body is always can improve. And this is something everybody should be self-aware of.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a nice way to look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
I am curious though, when you decided, because Munich isn't really known for electronic music. I don't want to, I like Munich, but I don't think of Munich and think, oh, I'm going to go party. So, kind of, what was the transition from Munich to Berlin like for you?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because many years ago, when the techno scene really started in Germany, when everything was just building itself up, Munich and Frankfurt were one of the both or two cities that were the main capitals of electronic music in Germany. Berlin was really starting after the Mauerfall, when everything went down, and East and West got together again. But in the beginning, it was really Munich that was one of the main drivers of the electronic scene. There were big clubs and everything. Yeah, but this is just as for you as an information, because at the moment, it's, as you said, Munich is just for the techno clubs. It's like 3 or 4 techno clubs in Munich, and it's a big city. It's really, if you compare it to Berlin, it's like 5%
Yeah.
of the clubs compared to the people that live there. So it's relatively small. I was growing up in Bamberg, which is also a Franconian city, and there at a small village next to Bamberg. So I moved from the really small town to Nuremberg, to the next biggest one. And then my dream was always to go bigger again, because it was still, Nuremberg was also not big enough for me. There was not enough for me to keep going. And then the next logical step was Munich, because I was from Bavaria. I was studying in Munich. I was in Munich every second month. As I said, I was connecting to Daniel, the old roommate, and then I said, okay, let's go to Munich. I was living there for 13, 14 years. And now for 2 years, almost 2 years in October, I was finally deciding to move to Berlin because many of my friends was moving to Berlin. I always loved it. I think the first time in Berlin was also 12 or 13 years ago. Was
Yeah.
in my head for many, many years.
No, I think a lot of, yeah, when I first moved here, a lot of my first friends then were all from Munich. And so it's just quite funny.
Okay, funny.
So now I have the historical context that techno was more popular in Munich back when before.
Like 1980, 1980,
Yeah.
1985, 1990. DJ Hill, for example, was a big name in the scene. And I was listening to some interviews with him, and this is how he described it, for example. And there were some famous clubs in Munich. And yeah, and Berlin was really just later after Germany got united again.
No, that's cool info. I need to show Munich a bit more respect then.
Yes, 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 yes. You could do that.
Fair. So I think though for the average person, because I don't know, I got very lucky, I guess, because I had been to Berlin a couple of times before I moved here, and I just always got lucky that like I found someone who knew someone or just was very like aware of navigating like these different clubs in Berlin because it's unlike anywhere else. Like I don't know how many times I've tried to like describe it to a friend and they're like, "Oh, I'll probably go home early around like 2 or 3." And I'm like, no, like we're not even going out until 2 or 3. And then like you're trying to explain to somebody like my British friend came and she was just shocked. She was like, "You dance, but then there's places to sit down and hang out and like people are just like relaxing." I was like, "Yeah, it's not like anywhere else in the world." And yeah, I don't know. I guess without the right people to help me navigate that, I would have really struggled to either feel welcome or like understand what I was supposed to do in these spaces once I got
Yeah,
inside.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, how did that process work for you, whether that was in Munich or that was in Berlin? Like, yeah.
I can totally agree on that 100%. Berlin as itself, as the city itself could be overwhelming because it's so crowded, it's loud, it's noisy, it's so many different people clashing together, different cultures, everything. If you just compare it to Munich, for example, or to a small village where I was coming from, or maybe from another city in another country. It's also the same for the club culture here. It's also something that Berlin is proud of because it's just unique to the city itself. You never, as you said, you never find something like this ever in another city. Maybe a small part of it, but never the whole experience. And just for me, for example, when I was the first time in Berlin, I was with Daniel also. And with how big was our group? I would say like 6 to 8 people.
That's big for a Berlin party.
Yeah, 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 because many we were like, okay, now we're partying in Munich for 1 or 2 years straight, so everybody is telling us we should go to Berlin, and Berlin is even bigger and better and everything, and we were like, okay, let's go. I can't remember if any of our friends has already been to Berlin. I think so, but it's like too many years ago. But I think this was easy because we were so many friends and we knew each other and we knew how to party in Munich. And then it was like just, okay, let's stick together. Let's go there. Let's see how the people behave. And you always have yeah, in your mind that there are people and if something is going wrong, they never they never leave you and they don't go without you and everything. This was really important, especially in a dark club with a lot of people and loud music and the lights and the fog and everything. If you don't have something your anchor or something like an anchor with you, it could be overwhelming. That's
Mhm.
for sure. And then it could also be intimidating to some people.
I mean, I guess I don't know. I was always because I had gone out a number of times in Berlin and I'd never had an issue. Just like you walk up, you say hello, they let you in. And then for the first time, I was trying to go to it's this party called Multisex. They were used to run
Mhm.
at Watergate.
Mhm.
And I walked up. It was like my second time going to this party as well. I walk up and I just like wasn't thinking twice about it. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go have a little. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was like gonna have a dance for a few hours and then leave. Like it was just gonna be like chill, something I was doing by myself. Was really excited about the day. I walk up and they asked me a few questions. I answered, and then she says, "Sorry, not today." And I was like, "What?" Like,
Why?
I was, like, so upset, and, I mean, that experience has happened to pretty much everyone who goes out in Berlin, so I guess I don't know, how do you if you have a visitor, like how do you prep them for that? That is something that can happen as well.
Yeah, it depends on the visitor. If it's someone I know from Munich, I was partying with already, it's not that complicated. If you compare it to somebody that is visiting, maybe a friend from another friend, and he wants to take another friend that night with him to join us. Yeah, it's easy because we have someone in our friends in the circle that, or some of them that are really into prepping people, how they have to dress, how they have to behave. But I think it's relatively easy if you're a bigger group. You have like, okay, you know it from your own experience. If you go to like to the line, to the queue in Sisyphus, you go there with 4 people, for example, not that big of a group, or 2 people, and then you can brief each other, or you can brief the person. Okay, now it's the critical phase in the queue where you just be not too loud, or don't scream, or don't do something that you look like someone that is too drunk, for example. Because in the end, what the clubs don't want is somebody that is aggressive or is too drunk, or most of the time both. I think this is one of the main reasons why they don't let somebody in. And then in the end, sometimes you are at a party, for example, at Berghain, and you're just one of the people that are like, okay, we have enough of this, or you don't fit anymore in the club. We need something else. We need more women. We need something of this kind or whatever. This can always happens, and then you cannot prepare somebody because you don't know how the party inside is already moving. So it always depends on the bouncers and on the party itself. But in the end, just brief the person. Yeah, it also depends on the party. Some clubs are more difficult than others.
Hmm. I did have a friend recently. We went to Berghain together, and it was just so funny because we spent like, I think it was like an hour and a half in the queue, just like waiting. But like, she was so nervous because, you just that line is scary. And then we get up to the front and we get in, and then we're in like the little coat check area where they're going through your bags. And like, I'm just happy because I'm like, oh, the line's over. But my friend like still has this like just like angry look on her face, which like they must see this happen all the time because like 3 people were like, you can smile now. It was funny. But yeah, I feel like most people are pretty nice. It's just, yeah, there's like an exterior where like they're creating a vibe or something. I don't know. It's like, it's intimidating. It's super intimidating.
Yeah, as long as you're nice, you should be in 80-90% of the 80-90%. You should be fine if you're nice. If you're not, I don't want to say that name, but if you're an a-hole or whatever and you don't fit in any party, then especially in Berlin, where they really try to make a big or great experience for the visitors that are already in, they are trained also to see if you fit as a person itself. They see if you are really first time going out, and then maybe it's also not the right place to go to. Then it's more like, okay, like a safety measure for them. Okay, don't go here, maybe go to a smaller place. Or they see that you have a really bad day, that you are fucked up, and maybe sometimes it would also be nice for you to go party then, but it also could be bad for you. And at some point, because you try to compensate something at the party, and this could also be harmful for you, or you're just too drunk or whatever. But most of the time, if you're just nice, having fun, you're going with your friends, you're a nice group. Most of the time, they don't say to a group, okay, 4 people, and then 3 may get in, and 1 is not allowed to. This never happened to me. So most of the time, if you're a nice group and you're just having fun, in 90%, you're getting in.
I will say though, your group in particular, like you guys look like you belong there though. So I don't know. I don't know if I can actually take this advice from if someone's listening. I feel like whenever I go out with you guys, I'm like looking around, I'm like, okay, I feel like they're just gonna like definitely shoo me in behind these guys. Like this is gonna be fine for me.
Maybe it's the experience, it's most of the people I'm partying with are really seasoned party people. They are like me for 13, 14 years going to parties, some of them 10, 7. So you see that because good bouncers, when they are trained, they really, it's like animals. They smell your fear, they smell when you're uncomfortable and everything. They see it in your eyes, they see it how you behave, how you look, how you smile and everything. So the more experienced you are, the less of this fear you have, and the higher the possibility monopolies are that you are just going in because you know you're going in. You never ask yourself the question, okay, the only place where I'm asking myself the question is Berghain, because in Berghain, I have friends that are there for many years. They are already inside for 20, 30 times. And even then, sometimes they are not allowed to go in. So
Mhm.
you never know what is the reason. Is it because of your looks? Is it because, okay, maybe it's not the right party now for your kind? You never know, it's Berghain. Maybe sometimes they are not allowing people to go in just to have the myth of, okay, it's hard to get in. You never know. I don't know. Most of the people don't know. So I don't care if I would not get in, I would say, okay, let's go to another place. It's sad, but it can happen always.
Yeah. It's always disappointing when, like, it doesn't work out the way you want, but I understand
Yeah,
as well.
but
But
don't be too sad about it.
But you mentioned earlier that, like, for example, if you're new to Berlin and you're just entering this, like, say you're interested in techno music and you want to go clubbing, but maybe like you don't want to start at these like big name clubs. What are like some smaller clubs in Berlin that you think maybe deserve like a little shout out for like usually good music, good vibes, more relaxed door policy?
I think one of the problems in Berlin that there are too many clubs.
Hmm.
And the good ones I can recommend are also one of the bigger. I have in my mind that I want to visit especially the smaller clubs in the next 1 or 2 years. Because as I said, I was just moving here 2 years ago. And in the end, I was just, in the first year, I didn't do that much of a party. This year I started to do more, but then in the end, most of the time I was at Sisyphos or other places, or we did our Myzel parties. Yeah, maybe I can. Yeah, it's always also good to start at a private party. It's
Hmm.
always nice because the people there are always nice, and most of the time there are no bouncers, or the bouncers are from the party itself. So the people are private there, and they just want to see. Okay, they just want to give you a good time, and it's not so commercially, or they don't need to that much of the money, and it's easier to get in. If you have the connections, maybe also go to a private party with a friend the first time. Or there are some smaller clubs like here, Golden Gate, next to my place where I'm living, where I'm going to. But in the end, so the famous or the good clubs I know are Kader Blau, are Sisyphos, are Berghain, whatever you name it. But these share all the same problems, that the bouncers could be strict there. And all the other clubs, I don't know, or the RSO is the same. It's also a big one. You have Techno, you have Club der Visionäre, CDV, but
Hmm.
they have the closing now, or had the closing last week for the summer. It's more like a summer club. Then you have next to it, you have Aiden. I wasn't there. You have Birgit and Beer. These could also be recommended, especially for newcomers. But also people there maybe are a little bit younger than on other clubs. Yeah, depends. It also depends on yourself. What do you want? Do you want old people, older people there? Do you want to have a specific kind of music, or whatever you name it? There's not a real club. If you want to go there, just grab your friends or grab some people and just have fun. It's not about the club itself. Maybe not Berghain for the very first time. The thing I can tell, maybe not Berghain for the very first time, because it really can be too much. Also, what is happening there inside there. But every other club should be fine. With the right people, everything should be fine.
Yeah, I like, and I do want to jump into because you mentioned, well, first off, I have to laugh because it's the most like Berlin exclusionary answer to say you should start out at a private party. I don't know. I just feel very lucky that like I met Dan, living with him for a little while because that's how I met all of you guys. But
Yeah.
like I don't have friends like hosting private events the way because like you guys throw down like the private parties you guys do are nuts like in the
Thanks.
best possible way like they're amazing. You are in a collective. I'm always pronouncing it wrong. Is it Meitzel or Mitzel? MYZL.
Yeah, for us it's Mütze. Mütze, Mütze,
Mitzel.
Mütze, because sometimes we have like, when we have a meeting in the end, we have like Mütze, 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 Mütze. Everybody is like a chant, Mütze, 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 Mütze. It's the short version of mycelium. Do you know mycelium? I think mycelium, it's the same in English.
Hmm. Yep,
It's the
yep, yep,
thing
yep.
that is growing for all the mushrooms, everything that is connected. And this is also the reason for the name. We want to be underground. We want to be under the ground, like the mycelium. You can't
Mhm.
see it, but it connects everything. and
Yeah, 'cause
this
it's
was
that,
one
like,
of the reasons.
root-like connected.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Everything is connected. It's spread all over, and it's in the underground.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so now my next question is, for those who don't know, like, what role do collectives play in the Berlin music scene? And like, yeah, how does that all work? Because it's relatively new. You guys established this a year ago?
Yes, yes. I refer to myself now. It's relatively new. We started. The first party was 1st of May last year.
Mhm.
So it's more than 1 year. So I would say it's relatively fresh and new. And what role do we play, or what role does collectives play? Yeah, an important one, because at the private party you can really, besides to the club, you can really experience what techno and all the techno party is all about. It's not about the money. It's just about the right people at the right place with good music, just enjoying themselves without, as we already discussed, without thinking about the bouncers, without, okay, man, they have already raised the entrance fee and blah, 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 because most of the time the private parties or collective parties are much cheaper because the local DJs are playing. So it's not about the money itself. Even with the entrance, most of the time the drinks and everything, it's also cheaper. And overall, it's just a nice experience. And yeah, I also founded a collective back in Munich that was called Team Turbo. And we founded it during Corona pandemic when it all started, because this was the only legal way in Germany to organize events anymore for 1 year, 1.5 years. Because of Corona, every club was shut down or was not allowed to do parties, or no real parties. And there we founded Team Turbo. And since Corona, especially the collectives are like in a hype phase, because many of the collectives were founded during Corona because it was the only way. But I also have to admit that many of the collectives I met, especially back in Munich, are already gone after Corona, after the clubs opened again and everything. Just the good collectives with a nice group, with a big enough Telegram channel or Instagram or whatever. If they really have built their own community, then they could survive. And yeah, they always build or always have. Yeah, it's like that they keep the underground alive, because in a club everything is going more and more commercial, even in Berlin, I would say, because like the whole world is going commercially more into commercial. It's all about, we're living in a capitalism, at a capitalistic form of living. And yeah, collectives are there for their own roots. This is really like what is underground meant to be. I
Mhm.
would say so. It's very, very important in the end.
But there are some collaborations, like, between, I'm stressing. So,
Mütze?
Mutsu.
Mütze, yeah, Mütze is good, yes.
Between Mutsu and, like, some of the larger clubs, so that some of the DJs in the Mutsu collective are actually then playing at a larger club, or, so how do those partnerships work when, like, obviously clubs have to make money, that's the capitalistic world we live in, but
Yeah.
then they kind of source some of their some, not all, of their talent from the local collectives.
Yeah, 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 sure. As a DJ, you always want to play in front of people. You want to have the experience, or to also give your audience the experience. And if you're doing it on your own at home, it's also nice. It's good for the music itself, or to enjoy the music. But in the end, you are a DJ because you want to play in front of people. I would
Mhm,
say 90% of the DJs, the goal of them is to play in front of people. So you can achieve that with your own collective. That's also one of the reasons why in a collective many people are DJs. Most of the time you don't find a collective where there's just one DJ and 10 other guys. Most of the time it's like 50% DJs, because some of the DJs just got together and said, okay, at the moment we are not big enough or not famous enough to play in other clubs, or maybe we just started out, so we do our own parties. In the end, it's the first step where you can really play, even as a beginner, because you
mhm.
just organize your parties, and in the end, who comes there in the beginning, it's your friends. And then you have the possibility to give a nice and a bigger party to your friends. And then in the end, if you're more into DJing and you want to play in a club, it's the next logical step to also to play in to network there, or get to know people from other clubs, and just to ask them, is it possible also, here's a set of mine, or here are some set of mine, is it possible to play at your club? And then it's like both is nice. It's nice to play there, and if you want to get also maybe make a living out of your music as a DJ, it's a necessity. You have to play, or it's important that you also play in clubs, because you most of the time as a private party with a collective, you don't get that much of money. Even if you get money, and in a club at least you get some money, even as
Yeah.
a local.
Now that makes sense. I guess from my perspective, like I get stressed out at a party if somebody asks me to like pick a song to put on, like let alone being in front of like a huge group. And then I don't know, because yeah, sometimes just in general, the DJ will shift the tone, kind of the feel. It'll get darker, or it'll get like faster, like more like
Mhm.
anxious or something, and it'll just like ruin everything. And so like I don't know, is that something that stresses you out, or do you have like pressure around, or how do you navigate that? Like I don't know. You're the one like kind of responsible for the vibe when you're up there.
Yeah, for me itself, maybe it's not that complicated, because this was one of the reasons why I'm also a DJ, or I wanted to become a DJ, because I have the passion for it. It like to switch the mood. I like to to play a certain track because I want, or maybe it's too dark. The music that is playing in the background is not fitting to the mood of the people and everything. That was always something I enjoyed, even when I was like 16, 17, 18 at a private party. I also did like, but with a mobile phone there, I was just plugging it into the music, and the speakers. This is where it's also started. I always liked it. I always wanted to play my music, but I don't wanted to play my music because I just wanted to listen to it, like egoistic, but I just wanted to make the people feel something I feel at the moment. And this is also what makes a good DJ, in my opinion, if he really transfers his emotions, his feelings to the crowd itself, and not just he's standing there and it's just people look at me, please take some photos. The music is not so important for me as a DJ. I'm like the old school DJ. Really, for me, it's all about the music. In the end, I really like it when there's a lot of fog. If they don't see me, I don't see the people itself. It's just the music speaks for itself. This is, yeah.
I'm curious though how in the collective, because you guys have quite a variety of sounds, I would say. I can't think of like I genuinely like all of the DJs that are in your collective, but you're all very different from one another. Some more similar than others, but I guess how does that process work as far as like because you all have like respect for each other's music, but then it's all different. But has anyone ever come in and you're kind of like, oh, this isn't our vibe? And then how do you deal with that?
No, we wouldn't say that, because no, no. This is the only thing. There's nothing like it's subjective, because just because I don't like the music, I would never say that I don't want you to play in front of people in my collective because I don't like your music. That is so. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that many other people like it. There's always time and room for any music, and maybe you know our Kingston parties, and especially there, when you have enough times and you have enough playlists, then it's always nice to switch the music, to switch the mood. So yeah, but in the end, you named it, sometimes it's a tough decision. If you organize an event, we just have like 4 DJ slots, 8 hours for example, or 10 hours with 5 slots. We want to have a good party, and in the end you don't want to have the wrong music, maybe too slow kind of music, or not the right vibe at the peak of the party. So if you have like people that are like more into down tempo, slow tech, or whatever, too slower style of music, they struggle to play in the middle of the night at our parties, or maybe at most of the parties where techno is the main driver. There are parties where it's just down tempo and where the people are just going for the music. They don't like techno at all. Then it's fine. You have just this kind of music. But in the end, yeah, it's also a struggle for our collective, because I would like that everybody is able or can also play at the peak of the party. But because in the beginning, in the end, yeah, in the end is something different. But especially in the beginning, the DJ that has to start is starting in front of 0 people or in front of 5 people, and then when he stops, the people are arriving, and then some other people, then some other DJ is playing. It's never so nice, and especially if it's always your slot, because your music is just made for the slot. It's a tough decision, but sometimes there's no other way for us to make it possible
Mhm.
that the people or the crowd is enjoying the party like we want it to be. It's not about the DJ itself and not the music. It's just how we interpret our parties and
Mhm.
how we want our parties to be for the people that are visiting it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's, I don't know, maybe this is like a rude thing for me to say, but I think that's something Berlin does well is that they don't let everybody in. They
Mm.
don't let everybody play. They don't let everybody kind of do their thing. I don't know, like it is, I think parties are more curated and that's why they're better sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. The way you phrased it, it seems more like yeah, communal and sort of finding the right slot for everyone. That is, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
It's
and
hard.
it's Berlin. You have so many DJs, and it's like in the free economy when there is a lot of something, the people are choosing the best. You know, if Berlin would just have like 100 DJs, then also the DJs that are not so good at it would play. But in the end, everybody can choose between many DJs. And what are the people doing? Most of the time, you choose the DJ that is better in their eyes. But in
Mhm.
most of the time, people that are curate the party or doing the booking know what they are doing. So yeah, Berlin has the good, just in a good position for having a lot of good DJs.
Yeah. I guess then for yourself and your own style, like if you got like, I don't know, a booking, are you thinking to yourself, like what would be like the perfect booking? Whether that's like a certain club or a certain time slot or a certain length of time? Like what would be like you'd be like, yes, this was the best booking ever. I'm so excited.
Yeah, there's always the longer I played, the more I got into more dreams and more dreams. In the end, when you start out as a DJ, you just want to play in front of people. First you want to play in front of your friends. Then it's the first gig ever. Then you're completely my first gig and blah, blah, blah. Then you get the compliments of the people. Hey, it was a nice set, everything. And then you move on. Then, okay, now I played, for example, the 1 year in front of my friends. Then most of the time, if you stick with it, it's like, okay, what could be the next goal? Okay, I want to play in a club, in a real club. And then you achieve this goal. And then for me, it was also the same. I played in the first club. Then I played in many clubs in Munich. Then I played in the bigger clubs, bigger, in front of more and more people. And then you get satisfied. But in the end, you want more. Most of the time, people want more. You know, it's like humans are like this. You always want to achieve something more, which is good and bad. And then now I moved to Berlin, and now I played, or before that, when I was living in Munich, I played at KitKat, which is one of the most famous clubs here in Berlin. I played there already, so I knew how it is to play in Berlin. What I have to say, the sound systems are also nice. You always have to say in Berlin, you can't find a club where the sound system is really shitty. This is also one of the good things about Berlin, or why the partying in Berlin is so good, because the light, the sound, and the fog, everything is very nice. Something most of the people don't mention, but it's very important for a good party. And yeah, and then it was like you want to play in more clubs and more clubs and bigger clubs. And yeah, the ideal booking, I like to do the closing. I like to do the closing, and then it depends on the party, because there are parties that are just open until 7 or 8 in the morning. Then the closing is the closing of the club, but the real closing is like if there's a party that is for 2 days, for example. And then then it's a different closing, because the people that are still there are really there because they love what they are doing. They love partying, they love dancing, they love enjoying music. And to play in front of these people, for me personally, because I really, as I said, I'm DJing because of all this I have just mentioned. It's like a dream is coming true. You connect completely every time I did this, and I did this many times, because as I said, some DJs don't like that at all. They don't want to play so late at the party, because you have to stay up all night. You have to stay fit every time. You can't be really wasted, because you always have to play in the end. But for me, this is the best experience I ever had in my life as a DJ, where in the end of a party, closing it, because I'm in the mood. I soaked up everything, the whole emotions, the people at the party. You know the people, you know how they dance, you know the faces, you feel like another connections to them. I feel another connection to my music, and I also play differently. I play different songs. Every time a song pops in my head, most of the time when I play at the beginning of a party or in the middle of a party, like you've been 3 or 4 hours at the party, you have your prepared playlist and you go through the playlist. Okay, you can play that, you can play that. Oh, I would love to play that. Sometimes it's like, oh, I want to play this song. But in the end of a party, most of the time, it's like, I just want to play this, this, this. My mind is completely just into music. I can't describe it. It's hard to describe, but in the end, this is really what makes a perfect booking for me. In the end, where it's just the music, the people, it's just one unity. Everything feels united. And this is for me, this is what techno is all about, to get united, not like everybody's dancing on their own. It's just like everybody's together and is building something. Yeah, something together. It's just about not separate, but being together. And the music is the connection between. And I'm the curator, and I'm the one that is creating it. It's the most. It's such a beautiful feeling. That's the reason why I can't stop, and why I can't imagine to stop. Even if I would stop DJing, if someone is telling you can do that, I would. I guess even in the next 10 years, I would say, yeah, okay, you got me. Okay, let's do this. Just once in a year, but this is special. I do it.
But I think, I don't know why, but we all seem to put this like weird pressure on ourselves to like end the fun at a certain point. And like this actually, I don't know if she knows, I've been like reciting this all year, but actually at Shingston last year, I was like getting stressed and I wasn't even working at the time. I had no reason to like be stressed about my own lack of sleep, but I was like stressed. I was like, oh, I need to go home. Like I should really like get some sleep. Like maybe I'll go home now, but I was having fun. So I didn't want to go home. And then I was like, I could take like a little nap on the couch, then get back
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
And, it was Miranda actually who was like, "Are you having fun?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm having a great time." She was like, "Then why would you go home? Go home when it's not fun anymore." And she just looked at me like I was crazy. And then all of a sudden, but like literally since then, I've been repeating that in like every instance where I'm like, "Do I want to go home?" I was like, "Go home when it's not fun anymore."
Mhm.
So I don't know. I kind of hear, so yeah, when you're like, "Oh, I don't want to stop DJing." I mean, you never have to stop, especially in Berlin. Like, I feel like there's no, if anything, I think it's easier to get into clubs when you are in your 30s and above. I don't think being in your 20s is actually an asset here.
Yeah, it depends on the club. Birgit and Beer, I don't want to say something wrong. For example, I've been there just once or twice. There are clubs
But
where the people are a little bit younger because, as we already discussed, the bouncers are, okay, you're 18, you're 20, let's get in. If you go to Sisyphos and you're 18, they would say, no, you're too young. It also depends on, are you even allowed to go there? And there are clubs that they are more open to the younger people, what is totally fine, because I always was, when I first started, I was 25 when I was the first time in a club in Munich. But when I would have been young and I wanted to go out, because I was going out in Nuremberg too, it would be a shame if you tell somebody who's younger than someone else, you're not allowed because you're too young. What does that mean? Sometimes you're on the paper, you're younger than somebody, but mentally you're much older. So yeah, it shouldn't be just about the age, but I also have to admit, if I'm into a club and I don't want to feel like I'm the oldest. This makes me not sad, but it's kind of like, am I fitting perfectly into this? Can I have the fun I usually have? It makes me think about myself in a different way. Like if I'm in a club and it's like, okay, you see people 50, 45, it's always like, okay, I'm still young and I'm one of the young. It's at least for me, it's better this way.
I don't know, but eventually you'll be the 50-year-old who's in the club and like
Maybe the
doing
DJ
something
even,
they like.
the old DJ that never got famous, one of the old DJs then in the future.
I don't know though. Like, what is considered famous? Like, because to me, saying that you've played in Kit Kat, or there's, I've heard some rumors about some upcoming shows coming in the next month, maybe. So I don't actually know if I'm allowed to talk about that. But yeah, so like these are big clubs, that you're playing at. So like, and Berlin is top tier in the techno scene in the world. So like, what constitutes as famous or successful in that? Because like you already said, you're underground. Like you're not trying to be playing a stadium show, or maybe you are. I don't know.
Exactly, that's the question. And that's also one of the main questions that many DJs are asking themselves, because, as I already said, I'm DJing for 11, 12 years now. I was into producing. I earned money with it. I was founder of one collective and a founder of another collective. one of the founders. And why are you doing this? You're doing this because of fun, sure, because of you want to give the people something, you want to be part in the culture itself. But in the end, you also have your daytime job. And in the end, you don't have that much time you want to have with music. I always tried for many years, always tried. I reduced the time at work. I got way less money than before. I really tried to do everything for music. But in the end, if you're not able, because as you already said, it's a capitalistic world, if you're not able to make money with it, with your passion, and is your passion, and if you're not able to do money with your passion at some point in your life, I'm also 38 now, at some point in your life, it's like, okay, how should this maybe end in the future? Because you want this, you want to achieve this, you want to buy yourself this, everything is getting more expensive, you cannot afford to go out eating, you can't afford a big holiday and everything. This also makes you think, okay, is it the right thing, or should I reduce the time I'm spending in this time and do something else and focus more on the job and focus more on earning money just for the sake of it? Yeah, that's the question. If you're able, if you're good in it and you're able to live the game or to play the game, like being big in social media, to have a big Instagram, to build a big following, this is all necessary nowadays because you have so many good DJs out there, and most of the time the 10-20% that can make it, that can make also a living out of it, are the DJs that are not just good in doing music, they are good in everything, because it's the business itself is like this. And maybe in 10, 20 years ago, it was different, but at the moment it's like this, and you are playing the game well and everything that is with it. You're doing pictures of yourself, doing this, you're doing networking every party, you're just visiting parties just for the networking. Everything is a part of it, and you have to ask yourself, do you want to be a part of it? Is it really, yeah, sure, it's your passion, but are you willing to do this, and are you good in doing also this, or are you just good in doing music and then just stick with it? Just don't focus too much on it and just enjoy the time with it and have the rest of your life for something else. And in my case, it was like this. I was just, okay, I don't want to be famous anymore. And for me, famous, you asked it, is like being really, you can play everywhere. You're all over Instagram. Other DJs know your music. This was what I meant with famous, and everything else is like your local DJ, and you have fun, and that's totally fine.
I think it's an interesting point, like with social media. And I've talked about this with a couple of friends. And another episode is with a friend of mine she's been doing stand up comedy for 8 years. And she's just now like starting to really get some real traction. And she's like, man, nothing's more frustrating than like, I've been on stages where people are yelling at me and saying like, you're a piece of trash. And like, I got here. And then some, idiot from social media like comes up and they've told like a couple jokes that went viral and they're selling out shows. And like you have to hold this weird space for like these creators who are like really into their art, but then also the people who are like kind of okay at their art, but also really good at marketing. And I don't know, that must be really frustrating to see sometimes, I would assume, as an artist. You're like, man, if I was just like marketing better, then this would be easy.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It was also frustrating for me, especially when Instagram got bigger and bigger, and I realized that you get bookings because of Instagram, and the people are like, how many followers do you have? Oh no, then we don't want you and everything. And at first, yeah, sure, because they want to make advertisements with you, and that they want to have a full club, they want to earn money, and so you earn money with bigger names. That's totally fine. But for me personally, I was like, okay, I try to get rid of my anger, because that's the game. You can be part of it. You can do it. It's not like you're not able to do it or somebody is not allowing you to do this. You just have always to be true to yourself. And do you really want this? Then do it. Just do it. It's always about in life. You can just do it, if you want something really. But personally, for me, it was like, I don't want to do it. It's not something I want to do, and I don't have that much joy with it. And it's stressing me out. Social media is stressing me out. It's in some ways. And then I said, okay, I just want to be local. I just want to have fun. That's the reason why we are also a part of putC, and we are driving the putC thing, because we have our own safe space, our own great parties. and it just gives us joy and fulfillment without going to big clubs. Yes, sure, I hope for some gigs, and I also want to play in some clubs, but once or every 1 or 2 months is totally fine for me. I don't want to play like several times in a club every month. This is nothing I don't want to do anymore.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting to me that like somebody running a show will like ask you how many followers you have, especially in Berlin where they say, no photos, no, you're like supposed to not be on your phone at these events. And so I don't know, it's fascinating that that still plays a role.
Not in every club, not in every club. I would say not in every club. There are good examples that really they are not releasing the names before the party. You just get the names, some clubs you just get the names of the DJ at the party itself, nowhere else. But there are, yeah, but the majority of the clubs. Berlin is something different, this is like we're coming back to the beginning. Berlin is different. People that have a club there that are living they are living in the clubs. They are really about also the culture. They want to have the great experience. They just are doing it for the people that are living there. And you can feel that. And they don't care that much about the names. They care more about the music. But in the end, in every other city and all over the world, names are a thing. And followers is one of the things where a booker from someone else can have a look and a brief look if someone has a name or not. You can buy, but in the end, you can buy it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I don't know. That is one of the reasons why I do really like Berlin. Also because I'm terrible at names. Just, yeah, my whole life I've never been able to be like, yeah, that's a musician I really like, or that's a comedian or an actor, or like I could never name. Honestly, I actually, when I started hanging out with you guys more often, and I still do this, like I'll pull Dan aside and I'm like, can you remind me of this person's name again? I've met them like 3 times. I cannot ask them again because there's so many of you and you're all so lovely. And like I have like a note in my phone of everyone's name because like you're not even all on social media. Man, like I literally have like I have like a little dictionary of like a little memory of each person and then like their name. But yeah, anyway, sorry, that's unrelated to the fact that yeah, I like that Berlin parties sometimes don't even release the names until yeah, like right before. So
But in the end, I have also to admit that when I was starting to party in Munich, I was really looking also at the names. I was going to a party because there was playing this or this DJ. So I totally get it why clubs are doing this, because they want to have people that are not so much into partying or into techno or into the scene. They also need this kind of people that are coming just for this party. They're going maybe every second or third month. They are going partying and they want to see a DJ they know because they want to have for them good music, and then they are sure they have good music because especially this DJ is playing. I did it myself, or we did it ourselves many years ago. So I totally get it why people are doing this, and for me it's the game. Either you play it or you don't play it, but don't be frustrated about it because it's always your own decision if you want to be part of it.
yeah. No, I mean, I guess that is fair. And I like all the different like avenues that you've kind of laid out. Like, hey, if you're interested in DJing, like, you can start playing around by yourself and then start with your friends, and you can do a collective, and then you can work up to clubs, and then you can go famous if you want to and like play this game. But yeah, there's different ways to explore. Yeah. I guess, yeah, just any final thoughts on whether that's, I don't know, Berlin techno or the collective or anything really.
You're the boss. You tell me.
No, I think this was perfect. I think yeah, Berlin's nightlife scene I think can just be scary to a lot of people because it has its own special set of rules and regulations. Once you're in, it's very unique and very fun. I've enjoyed this conversation, hearing your perspective on all of.
Same for me. But it's like everything that is really precious in life and that is very good for you is in the start or in the beginning, most of the time it's hard or it's tough. But everything that is good needs the time to you need to show it if it's really worth your time to do. And if you stick with something, in the end everything is fine and most of the people love it. But you have to try it. In the end you have to try it and see if it's something that you enjoy. as we already discussed, you need some, as a pro tip, go with someone you know, someone you trust, really someone you trust, and not someone you just met last week and he's telling you, okay, come, I'll take you, join us to the club. It should always be someone that makes you feel comfortable, and then everything is fine. And then you'll see afterwards if you like it or not, because there are enough people that are going partying, even if in Berlin, and they say, no, it's not for me, it's too intense. It's just on Monday, you still hear the noises and everything, and they don't like it. If you're too sensitive to something, some people don't like it, and they are just like, also maybe not tolerant enough. But it's something you can always work on, in my opinion. And this is also something that's really nice in the Berlin techno scene. It makes you more open to something, and you connect to people in so many different ways, and you connect to people you never would somewhere else, and you learn so many nice things for your whole life. I really appreciate everything that it gives me.
All right. Well, on that warm and fuzzy note, thank you, putC, for being here. This
Yeah,
was a lovely conversation.
thanks for the invitation again.
Yeah, and I look forward to whenever the next set is. I might stay up the whole night this time in preparation instead of waking up to go see it this time.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Hopefully, we see us soon to the next party. But there will in Berlin. There's always a next party, sooner or later. Most of the time, sooner than later.
definitely.